We are back with you live once again on another Johnny Torch live broadcast. Although if I've done this correctly, this will not be a live broadcast. I'm recording this to be released a little bit later on today. I'm doing this because I am suffering the effects of the common cold, a ailment that has plagued mankind probably since the beginning, or near the beginning, I suppose. But, yeah, still not feeling too good. The show, as most of you that follow the show well know, it's the only way to spend your Saturday, and we do a Saturday broadcast live each and every week. But, yeah, apologies in advance for my voice sounding different. I don't know, to me it sounds kind of nasal, kind of deep-voiced because of the sickness. So if that puts you off to this week's broadcast, apologies, there is nothing I can do about it. But I wanted to get a video in at the earliest possible convenience, and even though I still feel, you know, pretty tired, pretty weak, pretty run down, I am going to give it a shot. And I want to record it so that in case I do have a complete breakdown and have coughing spasms or sneezing fits or something, then, you know, the show won't get broadcast. But for those of us who are willing to continue on with the show, thank you very much for being here. God love you always for joining the show and supporting the channel. I'm very appreciative of each and every one of you who listens to the broadcast every week, who goes and watches my old reviews, who watches my new reviews, because the new reviews are usually a bit longer than the old ones, and the old ones are also sort of look-backs at old stuff. I should pick an old, you know, relatively old, I mean, like for the past 20 years, and look at it and do a review, you know, doing it this way, live stream style, but haven't done that yet. Let's see, what else do we have to get to? Please check the link in the description below for the Adventures of Bullets, Bourbon, Private Eye, our action-adventure comic book saga. Still working on it very diligently. And I thank the couple of people that checked in our Drawing and Jarring live stream. If you're interested in watching the artist at work, you can check out that. I've got a couple of them. I haven't put them in any, you know, any playlists or anything, but usually Wednesdays is when I try to get a drawing, or usually coloring. I don't really draw, you know, on the computer. I don't draw digitally, I should say. I draw the old-fashioned way on paper. And, yeah, it was a coloring stream, so we got a lot done there, and it was fun. I usually just talk about whatever's going on, you know, just random news or whatever that comes into my head. But you should check those out, and if you want to chat, it'll be fun to chat. Because I honestly, when I have people in the chat, when I do the Torch News Roundup like we're doing tonight, it's difficult. That's the reason why I'm not doing this live also, because it's hard for me to do the news and then pay attention to the chat, and there's been many a time when I forget to look at the chat, and the chatters get, you know, angry with me because I'm not checking the chat enough. But if I'm drawing, it'll be easier probably to chat if you're interested in that. But check out the link in the description for the Adventures of Bullets, Bourbon, Private Eye. We have the When the Night Comes saga, 3-issue arc that has been collected into graphic novel form. You should check that out. That's one of my favorite stories. Definitely my pride and joy. We finally have the second graphic novel remaster, Knock on Wood, the introduction to Pencil Neck. We've got that one out now, listed on Indie Planet. It took a little doing, but I did it. And we're now in the middle of working on the #1 issue remaster, It's Always Something. So, hopefully more stuff will be available before too long, and then we can, you know, the #1 graphic novel will be out. And still toying with the idea of an Indiegogo. If you're interested, certainly let me know. Yeah, make sure you also check out my Twitter page, link in the description below. You can follow all the excitement going on there. And also, make sure you hit that like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment. I love to hear the comments. We don't have too many comments today, but we do have one, so we will turn this into a mailbag segment. And last week's Torch News Roundup, which was number 169, I believe, we got a comment from Traptown TRP 1 week ago, and he said, awesome video. So thank you very much, Traptown TRP. I hope you've hit that subscribe button. I hope you join us each and every week on the Johnny Torch Live broadcast, which usually takes place on a Saturday. Sometimes stuff we got going on Wednesday as well. Like I said, I'm going to try to do more live streams on Wednesdays. I'm going to try to do some more reviews. I've said I've got some comic book reviews in the works. I still haven't gotten around to them. I mean, I've read the comics, but I've just haven't gotten the time to settle down and do a video. This is the way it is because I have a lot of work to do on my books, and I've always made cartooning the priority. So trying to get a live stream together or trying to put a review together is a little bit more cumbersome on my time. I've also seen, last night I saw the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, so I'm toying with the idea of making a review for that. Not a whole lot to say. I mean, I give it a thumbs up, you know, if that's all you need to hear is whether I liked it or not. Yeah, I thought it was good. You know, probably won't be a long review, but, you know, we'll talk about it for 10-15 minutes maybe. I'll see if I can get that done this weekend. And, let's see, what else is upcoming? Yeah, I think that's about it. So, without further ado, let's get on with the show. And some interesting things happened in the past week here in, you know, in the world of pop culture. This is our 195th broadcast. Oh, we're getting up there close to 200. And let's start off. Let's see. Oh, that's what I was going to mention. I'm trying to rack my brain here. Last week's poll of the week question, who was the most evil villain of 2019? Looks like you guys thought Thanos would take the honors. Then Thanos won by a small margin. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Coming up in second place, though, was Billy Batson's mom, which I thought would have... I thought she was going to win, but no, you guys thought Thanos was worse. So, there you have it. Mysterio came in third, and the Kree came in fourth. Alright, so... without any further ado or delay, let's take a look at some of the news stories that's happened in the past week. This was an interesting one. The voice cast for the new Netflix Masters of the Universe animated series was released. Some famous names and some popular choices. Let's take a look here. Let's see. Masters of the Universe Revelation, which has Kevin Smith on board as showrunner and executive producer, has revealed the full voice cast of their upcoming original anime series. The cast will feature a number of familiar voices, including Mark Hamill as Skeletor. That's interesting. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm used to him having sort of that high-pitched voice that, Who voiced him in the 80s? I can't remember. But yeah, I wonder if he can get to that. I'm sure he's a very capable voice actor, Mark Hamill. He'll be able to get that kind of reach, but that'll be interesting. Lena Headey will play Evil Lynn. Chris Wood, who of course plays Mon-El on Supergirl and is Mr. Melissa Benoist. He will play Prince Adam / He-Man. That sounds like good casting. I'm pretty happy with that. Sarah Michelle Gellar as Teela. Yeah, I guess I could see it. Liam Cunningham as Man-at-Arms. Stephen Root as Cringer. They don't say anything about Battle Cat, but Cringer. Maybe he'll put some vocoder on the voice to play Battle Cat. I don't know. Diedrich Bader as King Randor and Trapjaw. That's the way animation used to always work. It was basically you had 3 male voices, you had 2 female voices, and then they ran the whole show. So obviously it's not quite to that extent here, but some of that old school stuff going on. Griffin Newman will play Orko. Really glad they're not forgetting him, because Orko was a big part of it when I was a kid, the 80s show. Tiffany Smith as Andrea. Now that one's lost on me. Who is Andrea? Must be a new character. Henry Rollins as Triclops. Alan Oppenheimer as Mossman. Oh yeah, Alan Oppenheimer. He was one of the original cast members, I believe. So they gave him something. Susan Eisenberg as the Sorceress. Yeah, Wonder Woman, the voice of Wonder Woman. Let's see. Alicia Silverstone as Queen Marlena. Justin Long as Roboto. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. And Jason Mewes as Stinkor. Oh, that sounds cool, right? That's a great role. Phil Lamar as Hero, which I don't know who Hero is. That was something that I think was more in the comics, right? I don't remember ever seeing him in the original thing, but they say like he was like the original He-Man or something. I don't know, kind of strange, I don't know. Tony Todd as Scareglow. Oh, yeah, that's perfect casting. Cree Summer as Priestess. Again, this must be a new character. Kevin Michael Richardson as Beastman. Of course, a famous voice actor. Played the Joker, I think, in the Batman cartoon. The one that followed Batman the Animated Series. Kevin Conroy, speaking of Batman the Animated Series, as Merman. That's interesting. And Harley Quinn Smith as Eilena. And, of course, a little nepotiz there. A little nepotiz. But, again, that's a new character, I suppose, Eilena. The trailer should be with us sometime in the not-too-distant future. The series is said to pick up shortly after the events of the original 80s series, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, and center on tying up the unresolved plot lines from that show, eventually leading to what may just be the final battle between He-Man and Skeletor. So yeah, a lot is riding on this show. I am hoping very much that they are going to keep the traditional animation. I mean, they can modernize it a little bit. Obviously, it was, well, I don't want to say a product of its time, but that's the way kind of the Filmation animation was. A lot of repetitive shots, you know, they kind of did a lot of rotoscoping. You know, they can update that slightly, but I hope the character designs are still on model from the original series. That would be something. I really, really, really hope that's the case. But I'm excited about this. I hope this is going to work out well. I hope they don't try to mature it up too much, because that's always a concern when you try to bring these things back. But, yeah, let me know what you think about the... What is the show called again? He-Man... Oh, no, Masters of the Universe Revelation. Alright. Way to go. Alright, next up we've got a little more info has come out about Indiana Jones 5. Of course, Harrison Ford can be found in Call of the Wild. I think that's the name of it, right? Yeah, Call of the Wild. That's the Jack London novel, famous Jack London novel. I seen the trailer when I was going to see Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, and I've seen the commercial on television, of course, but I think that novel is supposed to be pretty depressing, right? It's about a dog that gets, you know, abducted and mistreated and turned into a sled dog, and then, well, I don't want to spoil it, but hopefully, I think they'll rewrite it to make it a little bit more, a little more palatable, a little bit more of a happy ending, with, you know, Harrison Ford probably getting more screen time than his character would have in the novel, anyway. But, yeah, some news has trickled out about Indiana Jones 5, the as-yet untitled 5th film and potentially last film in the saga. You know, barring any kind of spin-off of, you know, Indiana Jones The Next Generation or something. Harrison Ford is dusting off his fedora. The 77-year-old is gearing up to return to his iconic role as the Professor of Archaeology, Dr. Henry Walton Jones, Jr. Walton is his middle name? I never heard that. Where do they get that from? I don't know. I'm just reading the copy. Filming on the 5th installment of the Indiana Jones film franchise is slated to begin within just a few months. Ford appeared on the Ellen DeGeneres show earlier this week, this of course was last week, to promote his new film Call of the Wild, and while there, he provided an update on the next Indiana Jones movie. Ford confirmed that the movie was in the works, which everyone already knew, but added that the filming will start soon. We hope to start soon this summer, Ford said, before clarifying this late summer. However, in a separate interview with CBS Sunday Morning, Ford said filming on Indiana Jones 5 may begin as soon as April. Ford was also asked what it is like to return to the roles of some of his legendary characters from the 70s and 80s, such as Han Solo and Indiana Jones. I'm always delighted to come back to these characters. When we have an opportunity to make another, it is because people have enjoyed them. I feel obligated to make sure our ambitions are as ambitious as they were when we started. You have a sense of responsibility to your customers. I think of the people who go to my movies as more as customers than I do as fans. Fans feels kind of weird to me, but the fact that these people support my business and I'm responsible to them for the quality of the service that I offer. That's pretty cool if you ask me. I like having that outlook. They're customers, Fans kind of came from the term fanatic, which kind of is a less than, I don't want to say it's a derogatory term, but, it's not really showing kind of the respect for the person who is paying your bills, I guess, so to speak. Ford last played Indiana Jones in 2008 with Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The film grossed $790 million worldwide and was praised by critics, but was not well received by most fans. I digress for a second here. Let me digress. It was received pretty well by fans at first. I think it kind of, when the dust settled, people started to complain about it and act like, nuke the fridge, and, the aliens plot wasn't really that great. But I think that came kind of late in the game. It was pretty successful when it first came out. Indiana Jones 5 is currently slated to hit theaters on July 9th, 2021. So, there you have it. And, yeah, I'm looking forward to Indiana Jones 5. I hope it's going to be good. I'm not sure exactly what the storyline will be because, I'm concerned because it's going to have to be set, close to the 60s. Because Crystal Skull was set in, I believe, 57 or 58, I can't remember. And 12 years have passed, and even if they don't want to necessarily keep the complete timeline, we could just say maybe it's been 10 years, we can say it's been 8 years, maybe, something like that. It's still going to have to be set in the mid-60s. The early to mid-60s, and that's a very different genre than even the 50s. Because we had to jump from the 30s to the 50s, and we still had that feeling of the Cold War, the Russians instead of the Nazis. The 60s is a completely different thing with the Vietnam War and the, communism was still sort of the, the villain to society. I don't know how they'll handle that for their villains. Of course, they could not make it with a, with an army and with an ideology being the villain. They could just make it another Belloc or Walter Donovan. You know what I mean? It's very easy to just make, it a quest between, two opposing archaeologists or something like they did with Belloc and Donovan. Alright, so let me know what you think about Indiana Jones 5. And I can't wait to hear what that one's going to be titled, to be totally honest with you. Because they had some great titles for those movies so far. Alright, a little Loki news. We're still trying to follow Loki news. Unfortunately, there really isn't a lot of substantive, news about the story. We just keep getting these casting updates. Disney Plus Loki series has added Guju Raw to its cast. Again, I am probably butchering that name. I apologize to her. Let me try that one time. Gujgu Mubatha Raw. I think that's the way it's pronounced. Although her character is being kept under wraps for the time being, Deadline reckons the British actress will play a prominent role and is believed to be one of the show's female leads. Enchantress, perhaps? We've been thinking Enchantress is going to be in this for the last... I don't know. I hope they don't, honestly, put her in a Loki show. That should be in a Thor movie. Since they're doing Thor Love and Thunder, I would think she would probably be best suited for that movie, being, Enchantress and so on and so forth. It is kind of disappointing that they seem to be afraid of that character because she is the Enchantress, because it's like she's an Aphrodite and, the power of her allure and so on and so forth. And they already ruined the Executioner by putting him with Hela, which they had almost the same dynamic as him being just a sort of a dumb manservant, I suppose. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how this works out. Let me see. Mubatha Raw has previously appeared in the likes of A Wrinkle in Time, Cloverfield Paradox, Disney's live-action Beauty and the Beast, and more recently, Edward Norton's Motherless Brooklyn. She will next be seen in the British comedy drama Misbehavior alongside Keira Knightley. So, very interesting, as the copy says. We're going to have to wait and see. Going to have to wait and see how this show shakes out. I hope it's a good one, and, Tom Hiddleston's Loki is always a treat. Alright, this is more of a rumor here, this next story. This story's been going around for a couple of weeks, I think. But we'll tackle it now, seeing as how it seems to be getting some legs, as they say. It looks like Sony Pictures really is working on a Spider-Woman movie, even though the project is probably only in the very early stages of development. We may have some idea who's on the studio's radar to helm the picture and play the lead role of Jessica Drew. The Illuminati has heard that Sony is interested in primetime Emmy Award winner Michelle McLaren, to direct. You may recall McLaren was originally set to helm Warner Brothers' Wonder Woman movie before leaving due to creative differences. There's been steady interest from several studios to lock her into a comic book-based project since. A little H2O break, excuse me. The site also reckons this will be the Jessica Drew incarnation of the character. Sony feels that Alicia Vikander of Tomb Raider fame is the ideal actress, quote-unquote, for the part. Apparently the plan is for Spider-Woman to serve as another bridge between the likes of Venom and Morbius and the greater MCU. Here's a logline. The film will center on Jessica Drew, a young woman who, decades ago, grew deathly ill after months of exposure to the uranium being used in her father's scientific experiments. He was forced to use an experimental medicine, which was based on the biology of an irradiated spider, to save her. She was sealed away in a genetic accelerator in an attempt to amplify the effects of the serum. Jessica wakes decades later, having not aged much in that time. She also gains a set of powers, along with no memory of who she was in the past. That sounds very much like the original comic origin, so I'm happy that they're apparently sticking with that, if this is, the case. I remember seeing this actress, I didn't see the Tomb Raider movie, but, I don't know, this is not exactly who I would have chosen. I suppose, it could work, but, nah, I'm not really too thrilled about this idea. It looks to me a lot like they're going to try to use Spider-Woman. Sony is trying to use Spider-Woman as their default, Spider-Man alternative. If they can't get Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the Sonyverse due to whatever legal wranglings they're, subject to, they'll probably try to plug Spider-Woman in as sort of an analog to, get this, the Sinister Six type thing underway, where she'll be fighting these villains eventually that are being introduced, such as Morbius, such as Venom, or whatever. It's important to note that, even if Sony is interested in Vikander and McLaren, it's possible no formal offer to either will even be made. Studios often keep a certain type of actor or director in mind when starting out on a project, only for nothing to come of it. That said, McLaren and Vikander would certainly be huge if they did manage to web them in. So, there you have it. Let me know what you think. What do you think about Spider-Woman potentially joining the MCU? Although I think the rights are pretty much still owned by Sony, so that they would probably have to... They would have to negotiate something with Marvel if they were going to actually cross her over with the MCU. Alright, let's see, what else do we got here on tap? I think we're just about... Yeah, we're just about ready for our big stories of the evening. This is the stories of the week. Which one should we start with? Let's start with Harley. Oh, Harley. Some images from the Suicide Squad, aka Suicide Squad 2, shooting has leaked, and we see a new costume for Harley Quinn, which looks really good, looks really exciting. She looks like she's dressed like a Southern belle. I don't know, I seriously doubt this will be her costume for the entire movie, although, they could do the Raiders of the Lost Ark thing and just, rip the bottom of her dress off so she could have some mobility or something. But, yeah, it looks great. It looks great. Arguably better than the costumes she wore in Birds of Prey. A lot of people are saying, anyway. We also got a look at some of the other characters. They are conveniently named here in this image. Polka Dot Man to the far right, Ratcatcher to the left, and the great Idris Elba, who is, I think it's still only rumor, but is being dubbed here as Vigilante. Last seen on Arrow as a antagonist. I forgot what really came of that character, because they pulled a bait and switch. Adrian Chase ended up being Prometheus. But anyway, yeah, that looks interesting. Looks like Harley's still wielding a baseball bat. I'm so glad that no matter what happens with Birds of Prey, that Margot Robbie is still locked up with Harley Quinn for the foreseeable future. She had so many options going forward, and, they forced, I think, pretty much a Birds of Prey movie out when it wasn't really... That wasn't what was needed, you know what I mean? I haven't seen Birds of Prey yet, and I'm not bashing it, because I do believe that you should see these movies before you totally bash them, but as I've said before, I think the R rating was what sort of cooled my interest in the film, because, as I've always said, these characters, particularly the character of Harley Quinn, was created as a sidekick on a children's show. I don't believe in locking out the kids in the audience. I think you should make these films accessible for all ages, and from what I understand, the film really isn't a hard R, but they probably could have just trimmed some stuff out and would have made it PG-13. It would have been much more successful. But who knows? Of course, it had the stigma of being woke and feminist and so on and so forth. I don't really want to play quarterback on that kind of what went wrong, but apparently a lot of those factors all just added up. Some video was leaked as well. It sounded like, I don't know, Harley getting out of a limo, and apparently these soldiers here are, I don't know if protecting her is the right word, or making sure she doesn't get out of line, but basically she's telling them to line up or something. It's amusing. It's like, Margot Robbie can do no wrong in that role, and I think that's kind of what also went wrong, was the marketing they changed the marketing from Birds of Prey to Harley Quinn, when it really should have just been a Harley Quinn movie to begin with, because the Birds of Prey seemed like Birds of Prey characters in name only. But, yeah, looks good. I'm really excited for this, but again, then we have the conversation, is this going to be rated R as well? The DCEU doesn't seem to be too afraid to go, pushing in that direction. They made Joker, which of course made them $1 billion, rated R. They gave Harley Quinn a rated R basically at the behest of Margot Robbie, because she was producer and pretty much pushed for it to be this, profane, version of the character, sort of the way, Deadpool is or something. I mean, that's what I kind of don't like about what they've done with the modern Margot Robbie, is they're trying to make her the modern Harley Quinn, and it's basically trying to push Harley Quinn into Deadpool territory, where she's so wacky and, fourth wall breaking jokes and stuff. I mean, it's fine to an extent, but the character was always tied to the Joker. And the further they get away from that, I mean, I wasn't a big fan of Jared Leto's Joker, but I think they could retool that image, if they want. It's not, it's sort of the same thing with Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. It's not too late to sort of reel him in and try to do something with him as the Lex Luthor, because I realize I think they kind of want to cut bait with Justice League, and they're not really going to follow up on too much of that, but they are still treating it as canon. I mean, as far back as, as recently as like Shazam and Aquaman, those films have referenced Justice League and, other elements of the early DCEU. So again, yeah, I'm excited about this. I'm just hoping that they're not going to push it to R-rated territory. James Gunn is the director, which doesn't give me very much confidence. Again, I've always said I'm a big proponent of doing the PG-rated version, and then when you make a DVD or Blu-ray or whatever, you can do the unrated version. That's very simple, and a lot of films have done that. And I think when you're starting out saying, well, it has to be rated R, you're limiting your audience an awful lot. But when you go with the notion of okay, we'll do a few takes with some cursing and with a little extra violence or something, if that'll satisfy people, that's fine. I mean, put that version out as well. But for the mainstream version, for the version that everyone goes to the movies to see, you got to make it the PG-13. That's where you're going to make your money. You're going to get the kids coming. You're going to get the kids coming to see it multiple times in some cases. And, yeah, I just hope that they learn their lesson from Harley Quinn, which I honestly wouldn't put much stock in it. But then again, see, I am hoping that Suicide Squad does good, because, again, I know they had so many projects lined up for Harley Quinn in the future, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. I don't know how many of them will see the light of day if she suffers 2 flops in a row. I mean, she's got a good thing going here, where Suicide Squad is coming out, and it could very easily wash away the taste of any disgruntled fans that didn't like Birds of Prey. Alright, so there we go. Let me know what you think in the comments below about Suicide Squad 2, or The Suicide Squad as it is being touted. Alright, let's see. And the big news, we have the Daredevil costume, the Batman costume, given a brief glimpse in a, what do they call this? Camera test? I remember when they did that with Joker, the makeup test, everybody was like, looks alright, but, he's got blue eyebrows or whatever. This, I don't know. I honestly don't know what to say. I think they're just doing something funky here with the red lights, obviously. But they don't want you to know what color it's going to be, because rumor has it they're going to try to do the most comic accurate costume Batman's had since Adam West, which means it'll be two-tone, blue, gray, with the lenses for the eyes, which it looks like they have here. I don't know. You know, it's tough to tell just on this angle. We don't see the ears, which I think is a strange choice when you're trying to show off the Batman costume. I think they don't want us to see whether they've gone with the long or short ears. I think they're going to go with the short ears again. I'm personally a big fan of the long ears, the sort of Batman 89, Batman Returns cowl with the long ears. The cowl wasn't great in and of itself because it was so, you know, immobile. He couldn't turn his head, basically. But the look of the ears and the sculpt of the face was always very good, and I think that's something that they should try to go for. And it's the same thing here. I mean, we've got the image here of the Bat insignia. Again, they're going with a very armored look. They're going with a Christian Bale style symbol. But this is actually the worst. This is the worst bat symbol I've ever seen in live action. It looks terrible. I honestly don't know why we can't go back to the Batman 89 oval. Actually, the Batman Returns oval was better because the Batman 89, they tried to make the bat tail look longer or something. It was very weird. But yeah, the Batman Returns logo, the classic oval with the yellow moon background, we haven't seen it since 1995. We haven't seen it since Batman Forever's first half. Since Val Kilmer wore the Michael Keaton costume for the first half of Batman Forever. Everything old is new again. It's time to bring back the yellow oval. What do they got against the yellow oval? I mean, I think they kind of try to act like, oh, it doesn't make sense for Batman to wear yellow on his costume right on his chest like that. But the thing is that's a target. He's giving his enemies a target so that they will try to shoot his chest, which is the most armored area. It gives them a target to shoot at, and of course, you know, that's where he has the most Kevlar and protection. But, you know, it also just looks really cool. You know, it's the bat symbol, the bat signal in the sky sort of resembles that. And they haven't gone back to it, and it's a shame. It's really a shame. Now, the rumor has it, I don't know how true this is, rumor has it that this is supposed to be made up of the disassembled gun that Joe Chill used to kill his parents. I don't know how true that is, but that really makes no sense. Why would you... I don't know. It doesn't make no sense to me. It's sort of an unnecessary... It's an unnecessary addition. I know David Taylor from Twitter, who has a great Twitter channel there. You should check him out. He was saying that in the comics, Batman has his batsuit, the Kevlar. It's like got melted. It's the gun that was used to kill his parents melted as an added layer of protection to his suit, which is a lot more appropriate if you were going to go with that angle. But again, I don't know. This is kind of like unnecessary. I don't really see the point of it. But you know, it's tough to tell. Tough to tell what to think with the costume when we've only seen this small glimpse. But it's nothing really to get excited about. Nothing about this movie to me is anything to get excited about. I don't know. I'm going to have to wait and see. If I see a trailer that blows me away, maybe I'll be interested. But again, this is much like what they're doing, you know, all over. They're race-changing characters. They're just not... They're not really going with a recognizable, you know, look for most of these characters, whether it be costume or the actors. So I don't know. I'm still not very up on this movie. We got one more image here that was taken from a video where it looks like there is some kind of gang that paints their face. Now again, is this sort of another prelude to Joker? It seems like we've always got these Joker things going on. I don't know if the Joker exists in this universe yet anyway. But apparently these guys are a street gang that mugs somebody at some point in the film. Looks very creepy. And, yeah, I could do without seeing those faces. But yeah, that's the way it looks like so far for the Batman. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think this costume looks exciting? Do you think the film will be any good? Do you like the casting, which has made some rumbles? Let me know in the comments below. Once again, thank you for joining me and putting up with my, my sort of nasal performance today. Hopefully I start feeling better. My birthday's coming up next week, and I would really like to start feeling better. But God willing. God willing. Thank you for joining us. A little bit of a shorter show, but that's all there is to it. That's all I got for you today. But make sure you hit that like button, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe, check out the Adventures of Bullet Suburban Comics, and we will, God willing, be with you on Saturday for another show. And hopefully I'll get that Sonic movie review up for you in the near future. So until next we meet, this is Johnny Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.